Hello and welcome to the Business Dashboard on City TV. My name is Bubi Osei. Coming up on the Business Dashboard today. Managers of Omnibank and Sahel Sahara Bank are sure of no job losses after the Also on the dashboard, a ranking member of Parliament's Finance Committee, Kasil Ataforsing, is alleging that over 114,000 jobs have been lost under the Akufo-Addo government. And the Institute of Energy Security warns that fuel prices at the pump will continue to soar until the city is stabilized on improvement in Ghana's credit rating by Standard & Poor to investors. Details of these stories and others, including exclusive interviews and other on the trending business issues coming up in the next 30 minutes. Let's take our first story. Now, some players operating in the mobile money industry are calling on the Bank of Ghana to review the limits of transactions that are permitted on the current remittance platforms through mobile money services. According to the players, the current limit of $500 per transaction is low and will restrict business growth and trading activities within the West African sub-region. But what are the current remittances in
the World Bank with $585 million, Nigeria with $395 million, the United Kingdom with $286 million, Italy with $145 million, and Germany with $115 million. Additional information from the World Bank also shows the cost of remittance recorded a decrease from 7.13% in the first quarter of 2018 to 6.99% in the second quarter of 2018. This represented a year-on-year decrease compared to the second quarter of 2017, when the figure was recorded at 7.32%. In the second quarter of 2018, the cheapest way for funding a remittance transaction was mobile money at 4.38%, whilst the average cost when using a debit or credit card was 5.82%. Speaking to City Business News on the matter, General Manager for Mobile Financial Services at MTN, Eli Hini, said trade between Ghana and its neighboring countries will be affected if the Bank of Ghana fails to review some of its regulations.
There's the need to look at the limits of transactions that are permitted on the current remittance platform, such that the limits would enable trading. Because today the limits are very low. I think $500 per transaction really is for individual activity. And even for individual activity these days, we find it small. So that's an area that we believe that the regulator can look at and see how we can dialogue around improving that. And so, like I said, I think it is time we begin to have these conversations again and see how we can make it work.
Now, managers of Omnibank and Sahel Sahara Bank have assured of no job losses with the merging of the two entities. The two banks have since signed a memorandum of understanding as they progress in their negotiations. Pius Emihiaduko has been following the story and now reports.
The new entity, to be known as Omni BSIC Bank, would have a combined staff of 614. A statement issued by the two banks indicated that all permanent staff will be maintained after the merger. This should suggest that casual or temporary staff would not be absorbed. But the managing director of Omni Bank, Philip Oti Mensah, tells me this is rather not the case.
In the statement, it talks about 36 months. Let's not misunderstand that to mean that after 36 months people will be laid off. Okay, what it means is that we believe it takes about 36 months to do a proper merger. The change management process takes time. And after that time, you really know people and their capabilities and everything. And, you know, at that time, of course, for any institution, performance management will always be key. So the fact that people are promised a job for 36 months does not mean that they can go and be lazying about.
On the focus of the new bank, Deputy Managing Director of Sahel Sahara Bank, Dr. Kojo Abuaje Debra, explains as
we will be revolving around sectors. So if we business banking, So we are talking about having distributorship financing in terms of guarantees to be able to pick the products. And then bottom line, that at the SME and their employees is where we'll be offering what we call workplace banking.
Together, Omni Bank and Sahel Sahara Bank have a total capital level of 286 million cedis, which is 114 million cedis shy of the 400 million cedis minimum capital. Philip Oti Mensah explains progress in meeting the capital level by December as planned.
We have a two-step approach. The first approach is for existing shareholders to bring whatever they have, and as I speak to you now, the existing shareholders have brought roughly about 80 million cedis as the first step, and we are now going to the second step where we are talking to other investors, and we have gone very far with about 2 of them, and as we've already mentioned to you, we expect that by the end of October we should close the transactions.
Omni Bank and Sahel Sahara Bank are amongst others expected to meet various requirements before the central bank approves the merger. This includes ensuring that only fit and proper persons shall own and manage the institutions, as well as indicate to the regulator the profitability and long-term viability of the combined institution. Dr. Kojo Abuaji Debra is also confident of completing all the rebranding processes by the end of this year.
We'll be maintaining the 2 names, Sahel Omni, but after the deadline, it will come. We'll have, but fortunately for us, the color will not change. So we'll have, because we are the same blue, and what is going to happen is that logo, we've given it, so the work is in progress. Somebody is working on it. But what we have agreed now is that the 2 logo will be running parallel. But
merger between Omni Bank and Sahel Sahara Bank may qualify as the first voluntary merger since the central bank announced a new capital requirement for commercial banks. The 2 entities are also hopeful of working together to meet their deadline by the end of December. For City News, I am Pius Amehe Edukun.
Meanwhile, banking consultant Nano Tuichampon tells City Business News the relatively short time left should not affect the central bank's assessment of the merger document and approval.
Not at all, because what they said is that by 31st December, what they want to know is an intention to merge. It doesn't mean the merger processes would have been complete at that time. So if you take the Omnibank Sahel, they got approval on the 14th of August. They've already employed transaction advisors, helping them, consultants in various. And the directive for the 400 million is that it will be okay.
Well, moving away from banking, a ranking member of Parliament's Finance Committee, Kasil Ataforsing, is alleging that a total of about 114,290 jobs have been lost across all sectors of the economy within a spate of a year. Mr. Forsing revealed that the unemployment situation has shot up, leaving majority of the youth jobless and in distress. There is a breakdown of the numbers in the following report.
Mr. Forsing is convinced the government is rather doing the exact opposite of what it promised prior to the 2016 general election. According to him, the government is rather producing counter as their promise of crafting a specific policy to address youth unemployment has failed, costing well-meaning Ghanaians their hard-earned jobs. Mr. Forsing stated that within the first 4 months of 2017, one of Ghana's biggest telecommunication companies, Vodafone, must off about 1,000 to 2,000 employees. Shortly after that, about 400 workers of Ryder Steel Ghana Limited in Tema also lost their jobs as a factory its employees in a massive restructuring it was undergoing. TV3 was not the only media house to be hit by the happenings of the economy. GN Media, ERB Network, as well as newly read them to let go of over 600 workers. Goldfields Ghana rendered 1,700 of its workers jobless when it took a decision to cut down on its employees. Mr. Forsing also pointed out The delayed postings of 2 successive year groups of bonded nurses and midwives also left about 38,000 people unemployed, with the 2018 year group also about to exit. The collapse of UT and Capital banks caused about 1,000 people to lose their jobs, and so did some workers of troubled BXC, which is gearing up to dismiss about 400 workers this month. He stated that the bank's Beige sacked 500 of its staff. Still in the banking sector, it emerged that Ecobank shut down 10 of its branches across the country, resulting in the layoff of about 180 of its outsourced staff. Mr. Forson argued that the layoffs by the various companies was as a result of various reasons ranging from high electricity tariff to insufficient funds to keep running a company, among others.
You're still watching the Business Dashboard on City TV. When we return, the volume of diamonds produced in Ghana drops by 90% over the course of 10 years. We'll give you more details when we return.
For regular news checks as they unfold. 2020 news, all day, all the time. Politics, sports, entertainment, business, and more. 2020 news. We bring you the world in 20 minutes.
And that's all the news in 20 minutes.
Quero ver todo mundo balançando. Ninguém pode ficar parado. Greed, vengeance, and love in the award-winning Brazil Avenue, adoption into different families, far away from each other. Many years later, all for taking away her happiness as a child. It's the story of twists, turns, suspense, and thrilling action in Brazil Avenue. Brazil Avenue. Coming soon, only on City TV. Brazil Avenue. Vem pra quebrar, com tudo vamos dançar, com tudo.
It's a pleasure having you back for the Business Dashboard on City TV. Let's bring you some more of the latest business stories. Now, the Executive Director of the Institute of Energy Security, Pa Kwesi Anamwasichi, has warned that fuel prices at the pump will continue to soar until the cedi is stabilized against the dollar. According to him, bulk oil distributors who buy crude oil from the world market will have no option but to pass on the increasing cost of fuel to ordinary Ghanaians. Speaking on the City Breakfast Show, Mr. Anamwasichi said the increasing cost has nothing to do with taxes, but rather the stability of the cedi, since more local currency is required to purchase the same amount of fuel due to the depreciation.
When there is a change, or the dollar is stronger than your cedi, then it means that you will need more cedis to procure the same dollar, $1 you took the last time, to source for your products. You will understand that since the last 2 weeks or more, the dollar was just around 4.7 thereabouts. We have moved to 4.95, a depreciation of 3%. It means that importers of this product, the OMCs also transfer same to us. Again, $1 per metric ton. And now it is going for $747 per metric ton.
Well, away from fuel prices, let's focus on the economy. Now, some financial observers are hopeful the recent improvement in Ghana's credit rating by Standard & Poor's will boost the country's economic outlook to investors. Ratings agency Standard & Poor's raised Ghana's ratings from B- to B. Now, S&P said the outlook is stable for Ghana's rating. A statement by S&P attributed the rise to improving banking sector stability as well as lower inflation. There is more in the following report.
Economist and senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Lord Mensah, is hopeful the ratings of Standard & Poor's will positively influence an IMF board review next month. The board is expected to undertake its next review of Ghana's progress under the program before the finance minister presents the 2019 budget in November. Speaking to City Business News, Dr. Mensah pointed out that ratings from such international firms would raise the confidence of the government ahead of the IMF meeting.
Yes, I mean, it is stable. So IMF will obviously confirm some of these things because what they've indicated, S&P indicated, is that it's a B, but it is stable. But then we're looking out for a B that can be positive, giving us a positive outlook. So let's see how they come in, and I presume that will even give them kind of confidence in the economy, because if you look at the indicators, the IMF, with their presence, they are looking at fiscal discipline, and I looking at the drivers of this rating, I can see fiscal discipline in there. Therefore, their targets for the economy, I believe they will see to be achieved.
Meanwhile, banking consultant Nana Otuo-Echampong is convinced the Standard & Poor's rating should reduce the country's cost of borrowing, which will trigger economic growth. In an interview with City Business News, Nana Otuo-Echampong said the rating should mean a reduction in cost of borrowing for the country.
To them, the monetary policy, that part inflation targeting is part of the monetary policy, is working. Then you go to the banking sector. The IMF review of 2015 identified some banks on life support machine and therefore recommended that we do a cleanup. Now they have followed suit, and that cleanup has taken place with 7 banks being rescued to save depositors their money. And both the IMF, the World Bank, the President have all commended the actions of the regulator. So all these give positive signs that where there's a will, there's a way. And the will is there to put the economy on a strong footing. And so what they are doing has contributed and therefore improved our credit rating. So if we used to borrow at 10%, now you can borrow at say 6 or 7% because your credit worthiness has gone up.
We still stay with the economy because Information Minister Designate Kojo Nkrumah has expressed hope of increased spending on the part of government after the country exits the current International Monetary Fund IMF program. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has announced his government's commitment to ensuring that Ghana ends the current program with the IMF.
By the end of this year, we're able to exit the fund program. And, they even hint in utilization of our spending power and to pump them in areas that will quicken the growth we are looking for, the jobs and the incomes that we are looking for, as well as the social protection programs, which we believe will excite the majority of our people.
So watching the Business Dashboard on City TV. We are taking a short break. When we do return, though, the latest on the international front will be brought to you.
Good evening, this is The Point of View. We're live on City TV.
Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avlet takes the news further. He will bring the right guests, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day.
We need taxes to run the economy. How do you do it sensibly and have the least pernicious effect in terms of cascading through the economy? And I think that is the thinking that is required. It's not a denial that we need taxes, and I think that is the difference in the two administrations.
The Point of View with Bernard Avlet, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on City TV.
in tune to the Breakfast Daily on City TV. Stonebwoy says so. Keep it locked. Don't log off.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy orientation.
Some citizens have accused President Mahama of diverting a certain amount of money. Deal with that. Deny.
As for breakfast, daily, only on City TV.
You're welcome back to the Business Dashboard. Let's bring you some more stories. Now, the volume of diamonds produced in the country has reduced by 90% in the past decade. Although very low, the production of diamond has been heavily affected by the ban on small-scale mining. Also, the only large-scale diamond mine in the country, the Great Consolidated Diamond Limited, located in Akwatia in the Eastern Region, is struggling to operate as several attempts by management to get investors have failed. There is more in this City Business News Desk report.
The production of diamond in the country is heavily dominated by small-scale miners. Over a decade ago, the country was producing about 2 million carats of the rich mineral annually. But that has been reduced to less than 200,000 carats. The only but government-owned diamond mine, the Akwatia Diamond Company, had to be privatized after several years of making losses. It is not clear how much diamond reserves the country currently possesses, but Chief Executive of the Minerals Commission, who is also a former Managing Director of Akwatia Diamond, Kweku Adai Enchiboesiako, says the mineral has not been explored.
It's in a kind of distress because we are basically alluvial diamonds, and we're also being classified as industrial diamonds. Many people are interested in the gems, and so, but we have not done enough work in the area of identifying the kimberlite and be able to have the big stones, which is what people want. So we have huge reserves. Akwatia alone is underexplored, and I think that it is the future.
Ghana is yet to feature in the global list of major diamond producers. Mr. Enchiboesiako says the minerals could have a significant impact on the country's GDP.
At some point, we produce 2 million carats. Now we're doing a little under 200,000, and that's not good. Carats per year. We are encouraging the largest holder of concession in the diamond area to work with investors from us, try and do things to get investors to come on board and work with them.
With the current situation, even if explored, Ghana would have to export her diamond in the raw form due to the country's inability to add value to the mineral. For City News, I am Nana Oyankra.
On that note, we head to Europe for our first international story. Now, the International Monetary Fund has warned that a no-deal Brexit on World Trade Organization terms would entail substantial cost for the UK economy. The IMF said that all likely Brexit scenarios would entail cost, but a disorderly departure could lead to a significantly worse outcome. The challenges in getting a deal done remain daunting, it said. The IMF expects Britain's economy to grow by 1.5% in both 2018 and 2019 if a broad Brexit agreement is struck. The predictions came in the IMF's latest annual assessment of the UK economy. Christine Lagarde, the IMF's managing director, told the news conference at the Treasury in London. Those projections assume a timely deal with the EU on the broad free trade agreement and a relatively orderly Brexit process after that. Any deal will not be as good as the smooth process under which goods, services, people and capital move around between the EU and the UK without impediments and obstacles. Now, Amazon is investigating claims that its employees accepted bribes in exchange for leaking confidential sales data. Independent sellers were also allowed to delete negative reviews and restore banned accounts for payments of between $80 and $2,000, according to allegations in the Wall Street Journal. The journal said the practice was particularly pronounced in China. Amazon said it had zero tolerance for abuse of its systems and that it was conducting a thorough investigation. We hold our employees to a high ethical standard, and anyone in violation of our code faces discipline, including termination and potential legal and criminal penalties. An Amazon spokesperson said. They added that the company would also take swift action against sellers on its site who had engaged in this behavior, including terminating their selling accounts, deleting reviews, withholding funds, and taking legal action. And finally, the design for the new €100 and €200 banknotes has been unveiled ahead of entering circulation in May next year. Now, both notes have new security features which are aimed at making them more difficult to counterfeit. Now, the new notes are smaller than the current versions, meaning they will fit better into people's wallets, the European Central Bank, ECB, said. The size meant the notes would also be handled easier by machines and subject to less wear and tear, it said. The two notes are the last in the Europa series, which feature an image of the mythological Greek figure of that name. ECB Executive Board member Yevmesh said that more than 1 million cash machines would have to be adapted before the new notes go into circulation on 28 May in the 19 countries that use the shared currency. The notes have several new security features, including a satellite hologram of tiny euro symbols which move around the number when the bill is tilted, as well as a shiny number on the bottom of the notes which changes color from emerald green to deep blue. Well, that brings us to an end of today's edition of the Business Dashboard. For more news, though, do visit citybusinessnews.com. My name is Bubi Osei. Many thanks for your time. We'll come your way tomorrow at 7 p.m. with more news from the world of business. Enjoy.